Bring it up.
Well, let's start your day with some potassium. Monkeys and Method facing off, and they're here to talk about the match.
I think Method will always be a strong team. They have 5 mechanically good players, and they have a really good drafting style, which is hard to counter. And I feel like they come into every week with something new or something niche that they're always trying to pull off, and it often works. The main priority for us versus Method is just to get the good drafts and get the even setting before the game starts.
So I think our goals right now, at least, is definitely still making BlizzCon, but I think we really need to focus on finding our niche again. Like, it kind of felt like now that teams are just target banning ADRD all the time, that we've really lost what we have as a team, like individual or our niche, I guess. So as long as we refine our like special playstyle, then I think we'll be definitely making it to BlizzCon. I think we're feeling confident going into the Monkey Menagerie series. We shouldn't really drop a map. I think if we did drop a map, it would be a huge disappointment. I think we should be looking at 3-0s this weekend.
Ethereal alluding to the recent ban patterns that we've seen against ADRD lately. It's been Medivh, you have maybe the Abathur mixed in there, possibly the Tassadar as well, Maiev, Genji.
ADRD bingo.
ADRD bingo is what Dignitas, I believe, was calling it.
Yeah, it will be.
The Western Clash. Just make sure you check off all 3 there, and bingo, you get the win. So we'll see if that's going to be the adjustments here for Method. It's something that they realize is starting to become a slight issue for them, and I want to see how they're going to fix it. Let's go to Battleground number 1 in this best of 5 series. One other issue on the other side, speaking about personal bans, we've been seeing against the Monkeys is Zeratul has been banned out or taken away from them. So that might be something that we also see.
Yeah, also, when we talk about the Monkeys in general, we have now again Cursed Hollow being played here, and they are the team that plays Cursed Hollow more so than any other team, and they pick the map also a lot. 6 times already. This is going to be the 7th time that they're going to be cursed. It's definitely their go-to battleground.
Go-to battleground. Also, something that we've seen from them too is Illidan. It's something that they're willing to pull off on this battleground. In particular, you want to be looking for that Hanzo, which is something that Crosby's wanting to dabble in. But also, Crosby's been working on his Nazebo. Been seeing him a lot in Hero League playing the hero as well. So that's something that could pop out too. I'm just more curious to see what exactly the Monkeys are going to attempt today. Is it going to be the Monkeys just kind of coming in here, softballing it, or are they going to put some hardball moves on like we saw last week? Because they did have one good game.
They had the series against Leftovers where they at least pulled off the victory on Volskaya. Yeah. Especially Mopsius Garrosh at the front line was heavily punished by the Monkeys. But as we heard from Ethereal, they expect the 3-0 victory, Method that is. And they, from their personal view, if they drop a map here, that would already be a disappointment. And to be fair, I mean, Monkeys only won 5 maps so far in this phase. So that's not really a whole lot. Sitting at a win rate of 17%. Lowest in the standings. Even though Roll20 has led some match wins, they have more maps they could win.
And that starts to hurt a lot when you think about most of those wins actually came in the first couple weeks of the HGC starting, as we are now in week 7. Something to consider for them. Abathur has been banned out for the Monkeys. Immediate answer for them, something that we see from them often. Makes sense on Cursed Hollow, and also a good pick away from ADRD.
It's actually surprising that they still maintain that Abathur ban on Cursed Hollow, considering that it is their map pick most of the time. Now granted, that gives the first pick over to Method, but it really feels that Monkeys are absolutely not willing to play one of the best heroes on their favorite battleground.
Second ban coming in is going to be the Medivh. Yes, it is. Medivh banned from ADRD, and now we go straight over to Method. Now, will they stick with the plan of picking up Yrel? Yrel's been a strong point for them in the past, but they've also dabbled into Kayn as well. Method really enjoys
you have a few options. You can go Hanzo, you can go into Deckard Kayn immediately. As you said, Yrel is another option, and they actually go into the more aggressive style with Hanzo. Gives you more control over the mercenary camps on the map. He works really well also with the scatter arrows in those small corners where you have the tribute. Same time, you have the arrow as an engage tool. So there's a lot of good. Like, in general, Hanzo is strong, and he has been more popular as of late in the last 2 weeks.
He's also a hero that you want to take away from the Monkeys. Say, enjoy playing Hanzo. Crosby's been pretty solid on the character as well. Whenever you think about Crosby, you think about his Hanzo, his Gul'dan, and recently he's been dabbling in the Phoenix a lot too, but Phoenix starting to fall out for a lot of our teams.
Now, we're criticizing the Monkeys a lot recently, and I think it's justified, but at the same time, there's a couple of points that I really want to highlight where they are doing a lot better, and we saw that trend happening last week, and we see it continue here. Their drafting is getting stronger. They are now drafting more so towards the meta. They are accepting that there are some heroes that in priority have risen, and usually reserve their more experimental picks towards the later stage of the draft. So they normally are trying to take at least very powerful picks away from their opponent. And with the Diablo and Deckard rotation here on the first, on the 1-2, that's exactly mirroring the behavior that we've seen last week. Market talked about it a little bit when he was in an interview with me, and I like that they are now going down that road.
A strong foundation with a little bit of a twist, like a good martini.
Yeah.
Murden banned out here for the Monkeys. Method thinking about their possible ban next. Do you go for a target ban, possibly take out Crosby? If you want to go for possibly a Gul'dan takeaway here and have him move into something a little bit more uncomfortable, something you don't see too often, or do you stick with a typical ban that you see here in the HGC?
I honestly don't want to be mean, but I don't think there's anything you target ban on against Monkeys at this point. There's a couple of things that you can target. You can again go for that Zarya tool that Alex sometimes brings. You can attack the tank. And those are the two things. But I don't feel there's like one particular hero, maybe outside of the Zarya tool, and I think even that is like not necessarily a target ban against Alex. It's just Monkeys play Zarya tool all the time, so you go for that. So you just have a couple of meta picks that you want to get rid of, and you can try and ban out. Not quite ban out a role, but you have some hero pools that you can exploit over there. And that's what teams have been trying to do against the front line quite a lot against them. So.
For our third and fourth pick, we have Junkrat and Yrel coming out, so some wave clear, a little bit of a combo with Diablo and that lightning breath, that Riptire popping in too. But the ability to dive onto a target is very possible here for the Monkeys between Diablo and Yrel moving in, and of course Deckard Cain can set that up.
Yeah, I like the drafting a lot more that they showcase right now. You have Yrel, Diablo, that's a fantastic front line. You have Deckard Cain together with that. So from a draft perspective, their setup is really powerful. And I like their draft a lot. They're missing out on some of the macro aspects that we're seeing from Method. We're now drafting ETC, who can still go into stage dive, but you already have the Haka, so there is a global presence on their side. But to be absolutely honest, I think Monkeys draft outside of the global aspect of the composition is absolutely powerful here.
Yeah.
Very strong.
If they get a strong assassin here, I don't know if Maiev was the answer I was looking for. Something that can put a little burst in on ETC, they could possibly get rid of him. However, Maiev will help with this idea of Yrel, Diablo finding a target and dispatching of them.
Yeah. I like the Monkeys draft. I really like what they have. Method and ETC at the front line, pretty much solo, is something that we always question quite a bit, since he can be burned down very heavily. When we see ETC these days, it's oftentimes in a triple melee composition where he starts to play a role as the offlaner, who then with Echo Paddler and Stage Dive has a global aspect, trying to mirror the Haka's movement, for example. So that's what we see a little bit more often. ETC is played for the CC. We had that from Dignitas and other teams now. But as a main tank, he has weaknesses that you can try and exploit. I feel on the execution level, Method should be leaps ahead of the Monkeys, but the draft, I really, really like when I look what I see here on the Monkeys side. Again, with a little caveat, there is the global aspect that you have to always respect on Curse Solo.
Yeah, looking over to Method, I think I would have liked a durable Johanna maybe there on that front line instead, but ETC also does give the ability, if you see someone going to your back line, at least you can peel back with his power slide, maybe lock them down, and find a money mosh pit. So there is a bit of a trade-off here. You have a little bit of a weaker pool, but you have more CC and the ability to peel back to your teammates. So we'll see how this pays off for Method. Bad Benny will be playing that ETC, and this was a hero that he showcased a lot, especially in the first season of the HGC in 2017. Played it with Medivh from ADRD, but let's go ahead and prepare to move into it, as it looks like our game is about to start. Looking over the left side, though, Monkeys, man, can they find a target? If they get on top of Phoenix, is that the one they delete here? I keep looking at this and I'm like, can they get there quick enough?
Okay, dumb question. Who can't they delete?
Yeah.
Like, what's the hero on that setup that you see and you say, like, they can't kill it?
My question is,
very little.
If they have enough burst, though, without a Riptire. Junkrat, sure, he can siege with the nades a little bit, but...
They can play ping-pong, basically, with the front line that you have, Diablo, Maiev, and everything, so they should have quite a bit of control. But yeah, some more direct damage would have been nice, too. The Monkeys with Crosby in this game on Junkrat. We have Marco on the left side here in blue on Maiev. Alex the Frog is currently playing Urel on that offlane. Remaballer finds himself on Diablo, and Splendor on a Deckard Cain, the old man.
To the right, Method. ADRD playing Hanzo, Nick on Phoenix, Ethereal on Dahaka, Bad Bunny on ETC, and Curson to play Malfurion.
Diablo Urel, an absolutely scary and powerful combination at the front line for the Monkey Menagerie, and we have Maiev as well, a hero that recently has seen a lot of targeted bans, especially in the first ban rotation. In this draft, nearly completely ignored. Method also opting into an ETC as the frontliner instead of a Johanna that was still available after we've seen Garrosh and Murden banned out. But let's see if Method can follow that up with a kill. Nice displacement here by Junkrat, but the Benny still have the power slide up.
You'll be seeing that a lot for ETC. He's going to be holding onto his power slide, and if he ever gets knocked into a fight the way he doesn't want to, he just power slides away. It's one of the safest things you can do as an ETC player. A lot of newer ETC players try to force fights by going into a power slide, knocking someone back, and then you're caught out of position and you get focused down. Watch Bad Bunny during this match and kind of learn from him. Yeah,
it's definitely one of those mistakes when you first pick up ETC, especially when you're playing on the lower levels, that you always feel pressure to make a play. And usually in your mind, this is a play that you need to initiate with a power slide. But if you watch really strong ETC players, we had Lauba, Breeze in the past, others, Bad Bunny, as you just mentioned, of course, as well. And they normally hold that back. They try to set up a flank. They power slide back into the team after a knockback. So they play a lot more passive around that ability and can create a lot of opportunities without exposing themselves too much. Since especially in a less coordinated game that you oftentimes have in, let's say, Hero League, you need that follow-up, and that most of the time isn't really there. So if you're not quite on the same level or on the same page as your team, then all of a sudden you're sliding in and you're all alone and you get blown up by an opponent. So that's why with ETC, you have to be very careful, since he still is very vulnerable.
Careful, discipline. I mean, you look at his counterpart, Diablo, on the opposing team. If he goes in for engage and it doesn't work out, he has a level 1 spell talent that can give him a little bit of survivability. Later on, when he gets a Fire Stomp talent, suddenly he can heal if he hits a correct angle. ETC just doesn't have those options. But enough about that. Already have a camp pushing in the middle for the Monkeys, as they will attempt to get some aggressive pressure already on the map. They are working on their Giants to top left as well, which will be helpful during the tribute phase, which is spawning to the bottom left.
Yeah, Giants already taken, and also we have to the top left, Maiev also doing the same thing right now, just prepping the camp and waiting, so already a bit of a strategic element here for the Monkeys. Level 4 comes in, and we're now with that also, of course, seeing once again here on the side of Hanzo just specking straight into the serrated arrows, which gives him that control over the mercenary camps. And that's going to be very important once the bosses spawn 5 minutes into the game.
Alright, tribute spawns, ETC's running down. We just had Alex Proji jump in with the Avenging Wrath, so Bad Bunny can go for a punish, goes in for a knockback. Not thinking about the full power slide here, doesn't want to dive into the turrets and take too much damage. Getting Alex low will be helpful, and Splendor will tap. So 1 tap down for the Monkeys, while Method has everyone set up for the fight. Dahaka can burrow down, but he has to watch out for those Giants that you were talking about earlier.
Junkrat is at the top though, so that means that one of the best interrupt tools that we see for the Monkeys is currently held on lane. Now Dahaka needs to stay with Junkrat because there is that Siege Giant camp pushing in. But it should be a little bit easier for the Method players to get that one tribute. Curse is being attacked here and jump, but so far Malfurion is fine. And here comes the rest of the team pushing in together with him.
Nick steps up, tosses a few of those auto attacks out. One of my favorite Phoenixes to watch when it comes to actually auto attack weaving in terms of fights, being able to push the rest of the Monkeys back. Even chasing down Maka here at the top left corner. That Silent Assassin that we have from Method continues to do well. Sonic Arrow comes over for some interruption, while the rest of Method continues to poke.
Yeah, this one is still delayed, but again, there is going to be some positioning on the side of Method that's going to be difficult for Monkeys to break through even with that front line, because their range damage dealer is still held up at the top. Already some space created here, Bad Bunny with a slide, delaying it even further, and that's Curson grabbing the tribute. Well done by Method. Monkeys doing their best to delay it for as long as they can, but without Junkrat, there's only so little they can do.
Bad Bunny showing what you can pull off with ETC, that power slide hitting 2 members, both Alex Proji and Rimmer, who would have that gap closer to interrupt Curson. Maiev actually gets taken out in the middle. Looks like Nick was able to find the damage to dispatch of him and send him 6 feet under.
Yeah, it was already, I mean, Mako was already low on Maiev when Nick chased him into the mid lane towards the gate. But now it gets even worse with not only Maiev, but also Junkrat taken out here. So 2 down as Method randomly, more or less, well, not quite randomly, but like picks up 2 isolated kills on individual lanes. So great job by Method, grabbing the first tribute, establishing some control through the kills, and now using that time frame that they opened up to get camps by themselves.
Yep, they'll have a night camp, and they'll have a giant camp to push in the bottom, and this time grabbing this giant camp on the second tribute will allow for them to equalize the pressure that Monkeys had on the first tribute where they were pushing on the top side, so we should be seeing that soon. Actually, no, the tribute's already spawning now, so they're going to rotate straight on over and put Dahaka in the bottom lane. They didn't have time to grab those giants. Experience is pretty similar to our teams, 8.5 and 8 3/4 for Method. Splendor already starting the channel. Ooh, the scatter arrow. Not close enough, and Splendor was able to grab the tribute.
It was well done by Monkeys also to just block the scatter arrow shots here and make sure that they're not hitting that Deckard Kane in the back line. So the tribute goes over to the Monkeys. So far, so good for them. Down 2 kills, but still an experience very even, so that's all that matters here for now. But already the play for boss that we highlighted earlier. Once you're level 4, the serrated arrows come online, you can really start to get something done here. KD already also completed his level 1 quest by now. The build is ready, and therefore an immediate move towards the boss. And Monkeys, they have no clue at this point.
Yeah, they did not expect that. Method will grab this boss, and now he'll be pushing in the top lane. With Dahaka on the south, Method can now make a play for a double boss play, or to set up for the tribute as a new Torstead.
Exactly. Normally what you see is that when a team sniffs out that their opponent is doing the boss, they either try to invade or they take the boss on their own end of the map.
Yeah.
That didn't happen here. The Monkeys are now completely blindsided this where they have not taken their own boss, so there's still the opportunity for Method to grab a second one. But this one at the top lane already has to be reacted to. And already, AD with Hanzo moving over to the bottom right, taking a Siege Giant camp. And that's another big push that's going to head through the bot lane together with Dahaka, the global hero, as Monkeys have to decide, do we want to defend or do we go for that tribute?
Starting to try and force a fight in the middle. They have Junkrat defending the tribute on the top right. The boss did take some damage. It will fall eventually, but it is going to put a little bit of damage on top of that fort with the help of the minions. Monkeys stepping up now. Curson actually gets tossed to the left here.
Yeah, Curson low, and they take him down. Great kill by the Monkeys. Bot lane is still pushing with that Siege Giant camp, even though Dahaka moved in. Tries to get the interrupt against Ramabola, and the Zero does not get it. Tribute goes over to the Monkeys.
Wow. Method, let alone Curson, just did not expect that full invade in the top right. Monkeys swinging with a solid rotation with 3, and they find the complete pick. Now, part of that was set up thanks to Junkrat finding the knockback, but now Monkeys find themselves ahead in terms of tributes, 2-3, or 2-1 here. They're even an experience too, and they've hit 10 where their competition really turns online. I mean, you have the Warden's Cage, you have Junkrat coming in. They can start to really find these team fights.
Yeah, that kill against Malfurion definitely messed with Method, because the Method set everything up so beautifully well. They had the boss at the top lane, the Siege Giants at the bottom. They were trying to stall that out, buy a bit of time so that they can go for the tribute. And during all the time when Monkeys have to think, okay, do we go for tribute or not? They have 2 lanes pushing and doing damage. But with the Monkeys picking up that quick kill against Malfurion, they offset all of these advantages and started to get the objective themselves. So Monkeys still in a decent spot here as we're seeing the move for Phoenix. Arrow comes out, Mark is low, Nick warps away, and we have still the tribute on the map with Dahaka currently busy in the mid lane for defense.
Tribute about to be channeled here. Bad Benny unable to get the interrupt, actually. And Rimmer goes in, goes for the combo. Bad Benny's by himself. Warden Cage comes out at the same time, and here's the Lightning Breath. Bad Benny gets focused, and there's ETC.
ETC is down, and then also Maiev survived. The great Vault of the Wardens that we saw from Marky dodging most of the salvo damage that came out. Another knock into the wall, and all of a sudden, Method is in trouble. Ethereal is low, he's about to fall. Alex is jumping in deep. The curse is doing work. There's still remnants of the night camp in the mid lane that are pushing it down the keep, and there's a 3rd kill. Monkeys are absolutely demolishing Method at this point.
I'm actually in shock right now.
Yeah, the only one.
Method made 2 glaring mistakes. First off, Malfurion getting caught in the top right corner. Sure, I can kind of look past that, right? You get knocked back, Malfurion, suddenly Uriel's jumping on top of you, you die. It happens, right?
It was still a moment where a lot of what Method worked for and set up got negated.
Yeah, exactly. And then you have an interrupt set up for you on the bottom right. Bad Benny was posturing the entire time to get the knockback, and he just completely whiffs on it. You also had Dahaka miss the tongue there. Method just seems to be a bit off. Now, full credit to Monkeys. They're turning this around and they're getting the team fights they want. But Method today are not looking like the Method that I'm used to.
But it comes back to what I said during the draft. I really like the composition that the Monkeys have here. I think the biggest aspect that Method has going for themselves is the global aspect. For Cursed Hollow, that's a huge tool that you can use and that you have in your quiver. But right now, that didn't work out for Method at all, because every time they set something up where they can get value out of the global, it doesn't work out for them. Now, Method was already walking towards the boss, and they expected the Monkeys to try and make a play for it. That wasn't the case. Monkeys still with a 1-level lead, 5 kills to 3. But Method has now lost every single fort.
First layer of defense is done, and Monkeys would like to get more. They find Bad Benny here, they go for a combo, they lock him down, knockback comes out, here's Riptire 2, connects with 2, and boom, bounced around Bad Benny and Ethereal, but Bad Benny able to start sticking out while Ethereal pops his essence.
Monkeys going full ping pong here on Method, but here comes the salve on. That's good damage. The turnaround attempt as we have the Jag connecting with Alex. Alex still low but alive, but falls finally as Method gets a kill and starts to find a bit of a rhythm.
I'm actually just impressed that Method was able to save both ETC and Ahaka there. The heals coming out also, being able to get the armor at the right time. The patience shown by Bad Benny too. He was in a really tough pickle and had to make sure that he did not drop his power slide too early or could have been interrupted.
It's definitely a test to a team. When you're going up against a team that you perceive to be weaker and that has been struggling throughout the entire phase, and all of a sudden you find yourself far behind because you lose 4 heroes in a team fight, it's a test to any team to just pull together, not panic, and say, okay guys, let's take a breath here and just focus. Our draft might be a bit harder to execute and we might be a bit more vulnerable, but our level of execution should definitely be there. So let's just show our strength, show that we are the better team, and take it from there. And that's currently what Method is trying to do. And to be quite frank, considering that they have still 2 forts to go through, that they are even in experience is pretty impressive, and another testimony to how strong these globals are for Method.
They still need a couple more tributes before they grab this Curse. Curson being the next target as Monkeys find another pick, but Curson is able to buy enough time with some well-placed jukes and the rest of his teammates showing up. ADRD might not be so lucky, jumps out with a natural agility, the Riptire gets blown up in the top right, and Method gets a few heroics and backs away.
Method was really split though, so they also traded a lot of cooldowns here. They were really split in that fight, and that's a bit of an issue. But now Rema Baller is being attacked here at that front, still survives with the help of Diablo Sustain, and that's the kill against Curse in the backline. Malfurion is down. The lightning comes through as we have the second kill about to happen. Bad Benny dying. And the Monkey Menagerie with 7 kills to 4, definitely coming out to play today.
Definitely coming out to play. They'll move over for a tribute. This will be the first one on their second phase, but there are giants pushing in the bottom left that they have to be worried about. It's already working on that keep wall and going to be moving on to that keep if it's left uncontested. The rest of the Monkeys turn over and they start the boss. Method is aware of this, but they don't have much tools. They don't have their ETC, they don't have Malfurion, they can't afford a poke war. They're going to go ahead and just grab the Night Camp instead and offset that, have that pushed in, and have Hanzo defend the boss.
Level 16 is ready for the Monkeys. They have taken the boss, and this is really now the time to shine, where they can start to move in and try to either get the second boss, get a push going at the top, aim maybe for that keep. Method definitely has to be careful. We also haven't really seen a single mosh pit come through yet on ETC's side. It's one of the reasons why I could have even seen him go into stage dive, since there are still a couple of interrupts available for the Monkeys. But here's that move for the second boss. With vision granted at the top lane through the defense of Method, there's no reason not to get the boss now.
Bad Benny is coming over. He might come over and scout that out, but it's going to be too late. Going to be no major option for him to really interrupt that. Method, at the same time, is starting to rotate down. Oh my gosh, this boss is around quarter health. Bad Benny stepping up. He's going to get a health indicator on it, but decided to back away. It's been deleted too much.
They were pretty late with the boss grab, but yeah, it was still fine. Actually even time it a bit more throughout the tribute.
There it is. Tribute.
They really hold it for a long time right now.
It's making me nervous.
Yeah, I mean, they're both of the tanks in the area. Okay, they anchor this with Rema Baller. They're just trying to time it with that Night Camp, I assume, and just push out the bot lane already a little bit so that there's at least minions for them.
Ethereal, meanwhile, is working on that fort in the top lane. Should be able to get some damage on that. And now it's all about the defense. Finally, Monkeys will grab the boss. So yes, they were just trying to get the simultaneous push. Pincer maneuver and a tribute. Yeah. The third one. 4 Monkeys in the top right.
Bit of a risky play, delaying it like that, but it works out. Now they have a camp pushing through the mid lane, through the bot lane, and the Curse tribute is on the map. So a very difficult situation for Method to approach. If they lose heroes now, Method is screwed.
Yeah, it'll be game over. Bad Bunny is low, and he's falling down. Method will have the salvo come out. Alex Aproji is getting low on health, has used the Ardent Defender, but Curson's the next to be locked. Here comes the scroll. Boom. Rimmer comes in, gets a combo, and that will be a dead Malfurion. Boss pushing Night Camp in the middle. Dahaka is attempting to steal the tribute.
This is a disaster right now for Method. Monkeys at this point move through the bot lane. The tribute not taken yet, but Maiev is already on the move there, and we have still a push going through the mid lane. The keep at the bot lane is for 100% a goner. The one in the middle could be destroyed, and maybe Method is even gonna, Monkeys are even gonna make a move for the core here.
They should be stepping up. 10 seconds for ETC, 24 Malfurion. Nick was trying to clear out that middle lane there, trying to get rid of that Night Camp that's pushing in.
Easy double keep.
Yep. Will it be a core too? You do have to worry about ETC in that mosh pit. That is still something that Method has available to them. Dragon Zero's up in about 10 seconds, and the Monkeys are stepping up.
Yeah, Monkeys are stepping up, but the boss is nearly gone, and they need to be very careful because this is going to be a 5 versus 5 on even talents. You can still throw that game, so they really need to decide, do you want to risk this right now? And they are moving back half a level away from 20. I think it's the right call to make here. Play this a bit safer. They are on the verge of taking a lead against a Method. They need to make sure that they're not making a big mistake that Method can exploit if they want to take this game.
They know they have a few more seconds left on this curse, so they try to grab the turrets as well. A little bit more experience to build towards that 20. And 2 curses for the Monkeys in this game. They take away 2 keeps, and they have catapult pressure in the middle and the bottom, but Method still holds on.
I'm impressed. Again, the draft works out. I mentioned this during the draft phase. I think what we are seeing for Monkeys is fantastic, and they've been starting to improve this from the last week, where they focused more on the way that they are drafting right now. The rotation with Diablo and Deckard Cain on the 1-2 was great, and then they even follow it up with Urel. And that brings us back to what Method did. Method just focused so heavily on heroes like Phoenix and Hanzo that they let go a lot of these heavy frontline tanks. They themselves banned out Garrosh, then Murden gets banned against them. They decide against Johanna, take ETC, and he just doesn't hold up the same.
20 connects for the Monkeys, and they posture forward. They're thinking about trying to find a kill here. They want to get a core. Their DPS for the core isn't the greatest, but they still have a full level Storm Talon advantage. They have Giants pushing in the top lane, is moving in for that keep. They can play this slow if they want to, but if anyone oversteps from Method, full on engage.
Yeah, it's Maiev that really wants to make the play right now. They're trying to look for an opportunity here, but this is still a bit of a weird siege up because, as you said, they have 1 range damage hero, so what can they actually do? They can posture, they can take the camps away, push the opponent back, but there's very little outside of that. I mean, in an ideal world, you're waiting for boss right now, and you're trying to pick that before the Storm Talents are there. But boss timer is on 10 seconds, so that's where I would be at this point, and I think that's where the rotation is also leading now.
We'll grab the Night Camp too. The entire map is blue. Method has been slowly getting themselves back in the game, though, by moving towards that level 20.
There's the trap.
There it is.
And there they go for boss. And that's something that they should be able to get here. And now Method is again split because they don't have level 20. They need to go down to the bot lane to defend against catapults. They have the Night Camp in the middle. But they know what's happening right now. I mean, they know that there's very likely a play for boss, and they decide that they're not going to risk it. Not without Storm Talents. Benny is double checking it, but are they actually going to move in for it? I highly doubt it.
I think at 20 he can insta-pick Bull. He could make a play in, but nope. 20 wasn't there in time.
This is the moment. This is where Monkeys can really make the play. Let the boss push top. Third keep is going to be eliminated. Start to make your play towards the core. Forces Method back and defend the mid lane instead of the top. But there's the attempt to collapse. 20 is there for Method, and they're trying to flank in.
No 20 yet for ETC. Riptire has been used. Bad Bunny's buying time on that back line, trying to knock people into the side. But Method has to be aware of this boss at the top. ADRD has to head over and start working on that with the Scatter Arrow build. That will be the cue for the Monkeys to step up and try to find someone to pick up. Yeah. Rimmer gets dragged.
This should be an absolute checkmate position here. Method is trying to somehow break through, though. And once again, we're having Tranquility popping in. The boss is already on the
Orbus.
Though. Purebus comes through, but then even that is enough to take down Deckard. Catapults are starting to home in on the core as the third keep at the top is about to fall. And this is Method down to their core.
Only their core stands, but they are still standing.
Yeah, but this is the situation. If you lose this game, then you might just uninstall heroes.
This might sound really rude, but it is the Monkeys, right? Like, I'm still in shock. They're ahead right now.
I mean, again, great draft
and
better execution.
Yeah.
I like that. But now all you have to do is you have to... Seriously, all you have to do if you're in the monkeys is you posture around bottom boss and you buy time.
Patience. Yep.
You just don't engage. You don't engage, but you still have an opportunity, and there's 3 lanes pushing against your opponent. Method is trying to go in and force a fight because they know that in the long run they're going to lose this game. So this is... But there's the next point. Monkeys can literally give the boss up. They can just simply give it up if they don't feel that their position is good enough.
Monkeys are posturing, threatening the idea of going for an engage. Maka goes in, he finds ADRD, gets the tether, but he gets chunked down. He's low on health. There's a salvo too.
And he's dead.
Rammer with a lightning breath. Bad Benny gets out. Ethereal steps up. The boss is going to actually be grabbed by the monkeys.
The monkeys take the boss at least. Maiev went in very deep and died in the attempt to kill someone and suck someone in. But at least Maka created space for them. And now look at that core again on Method side. Already we have 2 catapults homing in on that. The boss is on the move, and they're still fighting. They're buying time. Monkeys know that even if they get wiped here, as long as they keep everyone away from the core and buy more time, there's no way for Method to defend this. Not against catapults on the core, against the boss moving in. That's just simply too much. Core is already taking damage.
Core is taking damage, but there is a mosh pit up at about 5 seconds. The catapults have been dealt with. 11% on the core has been taken down. ADRD this entire time, by the way, has been sitting on top of that boss, clearing that out. Should be having it pretty low already. We'll take a look at that pretty soon here. But the catapults have been dealt with, and that boss has been cleaned up.
Yep, 89% on the core, though.
With the tribute. Tribute number 2. Goes over to the monkeys.
I personally would have really liked the monkeys to just simply brawl a little bit more in that middle and try to delay even longer. Not sure if it would have ended the game, but they might have been able to get a bit more damage. But again, it comes down to the fact that as long as the monkeys don't completely grief this game is won. 3 keeps lost in the past 20 minutes. Catapults are going to push everything out. The saving grace are 2 things for Method right now. Dehaka as a global, and the wave clear that we get through Hanzo himself when he just gets on a boss, on a Merc camp, on any lane. So Phoenix is basically 2-2, but of course he doesn't have that pseudo global that we have with play of the game on Hanzo's side, which is why he is a little bit better in these situations, so he can still join a fight. But this is where you can... monkeys have all the time in the world right now.
There has been 9 tributes in this game. 8 of them have gone over the monkeys. A 10th is about to spawn. Method will have to fight there. They cannot afford 1 more curse. There's no way that Method defends against a 3rd curse of the game.
I mean, to be honest, curse doesn't really do a whole lot at this point.
I mean, true.
Yeah, your minion waves are a little bit weaker. Outside of that, there's no structures that can be disabled anymore. It's just the minion waves basically spawning without HP.
Yeah.
Which matters, of course.
Sure, yeah, a little domino effect, right? Like all through the lanes.
Yeah,
okay.
All lanes push in at the same time. So yeah, it matters in that sense. But there are no structures to be disabled any longer.
What if Method wins this game, though? Like, that's what keeps going through my head. Like, there's no way they should win this.
Again, if Method wins this game, then the monkeys should just simply uninstall.
Okay, Method.
That might sound harsh, but I honestly think this is basic. Like, you have to screw up massively to lose this right now.
Yeah.
It's not impossible, though. Like, if you make a bad engagement and you get wiped, then you can still lose this. But this is where you just have to show that you have the game knowledge and understanding to play this slow and safe.
Bad Benny gets engaged upon. He did use his power slide. He steps up, gets pushed to the side here in the boss pit. Here's a throw on the side, looking for a combo. It's going to be a mosh pit into a power slide with a tour bus, but it catches nobody. Yeah,
didn't catch anyone, but kept him alive. Like, he zoned them out from engaging onto him with the melee hero, so at least that worked out for them. They are low, and they need to be careful here, but that was also a lot of cooldowns blown on the side of Method, as it was on the side of the Monkey Menagerie. Again, those waves are amassing once more. We are fighting over the tribute again. The interrupt potential is there from Crosby. And this is the moment when Method is in a situation where they kind of need to go for that tribute, because all jokes aside, minion waves spawning without hit points still matter, even though there are no structures to be disabled any longer. But that's where now all the lanes are starting to push in aggressively. Again, the patience is important here.
Monkeys are just trying to keep Dehaka here before he heads back home to set up for the camp. Maev's pushing in the middle lane. So monkeys won't be going for full engage. They're just trying to poke where they could.
Very likely going to be a curse. And if that's the curse, then you can go for boss. You just wait until the waves push in even more, and you go for boss. And they are going for ETC first, as Benny is trying to interrupt. Zoning is happening again. Here's the tether. and they could still try and go for the triple. But again, they can play it safe. They have the Haka too. I mean, it's one of the things we haven't really spoken about, but I feel it's understood that with Bottomless Flask, if you can set up in an area, you have an insanely great position. So they can play that long poke game just simply because of that level 20 talent on Deckard Cain.
And on top of that, Crosby on Junkrat has no mana. He can just shell out grenades consistently. Completely fine for him to sit there. He'll interrupt. Method has a hard time going for the engage, of course, with all the traps being up. Bad Benny steps up and finally takes that bush. Rimmer's on the side. He would love to get a combo on Hanzo if he can here on the side of the wall. He actually goes in straight for Bad Benny.
Method is really playing well through the Haka, though. That's the one part that I really like. All right, here comes the salvo, only hitting 2, and that's the 2 tanks. That's not going to do too much. Lightning Breath comes out. They are all so low already. Market comes back in. Catapults are again on Method's core. They are getting pushed back more and more. And this is now the Dehaka life just ending. Or is it? Ethereal turns around, gets the drag, survives, but they're turning on to Benny.
Mosh pit, though.
Mosh pit against 2. The tour bus.
The tour bus?
4. And is that going to be it?
But there's catapults in the core. There's catapults in the core right now. Make is low. He's able to get out. So is Rimmer as well. Ethereal's looking for another drag. Does not connect with it. All 5 are still for Method, but the core is already taking damage.
4 catapults. That's 4 catapults and the 5th one moving in. ETC is trying to defend it, but again, time is working in their favor. The Haka is down, the core 24%. This was the attempt to somehow make it work, but now with a tribute take and a curse, a boss, anything, even just a right click onto the core is going to end this game.
Method is trying to stop the rotation in the middle lane from going straight towards the core. Somehow, Nick stays alive. Curson slows him down. The shields are building back up. Junkrat actually does get picked up. Curson will be the next target, though. And there it is. The core falls. Monkeys take game number 1 against Method.
I have to give some credit to Method. They held out way longer after they lost all the keeps than I thought they would be able to. But again, they have great setup for this defense at the core, especially with their Haka having the global that came always into play. All that Monkeys had to do was just play it safe, play around the position, have the Bottomless Flask ready, interrupt with Junkrat, wait for the lanes to push through. Sometimes it takes 20 to 30 seconds, but you can just simply bide your time, just sit there and say like, guys, we just don't do anything. When they set up, we poke them a little bit, we have the Bottomless Flask here, we just move back, we wait. As soon as catapults push in, they have to move their Haka back. We are moving Maiev into the mid lane since she has some mobility. Just push a wave out after another, and we're just waiting. And eventually, there are going to be catapults at the core when they're trying to force a fight. They will have to back off, and then when we go in, and that's what they did. Again, after the keeps were down, it was just simply understand where you're at.
Yeah.
Play patient.
Just bleed them out, slowly but surely.
But let's come back to the most important thing. Monkeys are currently ahead against Method with 1-0.
That is still shocking. I don't believe it, but the Monkeys have pulled it off here in game number 1. If they can bring this level of gameplay and this level of drafting to every single map, suddenly they're a contender.
So I think this is where it's going to become a little bit dicey for game number 2. I think that Method might not have taken this as seriously as they should have. And they gave... I mean, the draft was insane for the Monkeys. With the caveat of the Haka there. The Haka as a global long-cursed holo can be run to an advantage where you say you can play outside that you don't have to take 5 versus 5 fights. And I think that was probably the thought process when Method drafted this. They said, listen, we have great disengage, we have ETC, you can just like push them away, we can play around their Haka. Once we get an advantage on the map, we play the smart game, we play the slow game. And then they get forced into fights around bosses that they really didn't expect. And all of a sudden they are behind. And then instead of setting something up with their Haka, they have to defend with him. But I very much doubt that Method is going to give them another draft like what we've just seen.
Yeah, ridiculous pickup there for the Monkeys. And I have to also shout out Splendor on that last fight after all the forts are dead. All the keeps are done as well. There was that big fight around the bush in the top left where Dahaka fully rotated in with the Brush Talker. And his plan was to land in isolation on top of Deckard Cain and let it spread to multiple members. And Splendor read it perfectly. If we had a replay, I would show you. He literally just stepped back, dodged out in the isolation, came back for the engage, dropped the Lornado, and took the small amount of a Hail Mary that came from Method and completely shut it down. So solid play there by Splendor. Going into game number 2, though, let's see if they can keep that level up, see if they can keep getting these drafts, because it's going to be a hard task. Method is one of these teams that definitely know how to bounce back.
And it comes down to drafting for me again. I very much doubt that we are going to see Monkeys walk away with another draft as powerful as this one. You Rel Diablo, Deckard Cain. That's just insane. So yeah, I want to see what map number 2 is going to be. I want to see what the draft is. I want to see the game plan that Method comes in now. Athero talked about the identity as a team, that it's challenged by everyone targeting ADRD with his picks and trying to shut down that oftentimes pseudo-support style that ADRD has with his Medivh, with his Abathar, the Tassadar that he brought out so many times. Even Zarya in the past. So there's a lot of tools that get denied to them lately that directly impact their playstyle, and that they have to try and play around it a little bit. I think they can, but for them, it also has to be an objective to deny strong, powerful picks to the Monkeys.
Yeah, I mean, my Ev actually getting all the way through that draft when she's been banned so much and becoming a 5th pick also was a bit of a testament to how the draft is adjusted between those two. Actually, let's go ahead and check out the replay on that last fight, actually. We're going to look at, see when Splendor actually dodged out in the engage. Now, look when Dahaka's coming in. Splendor is keeping a couple on this, and he realized Dahaka's coming in and just backs up completely and then comes back in for the engage afterwards. Athero's main plan was to shut down the support anyway, and the moment Splendor heard that sound, instantly got right out of range from it so he could turn around and help the fight.
And barely out of range. I mean,
barely!
It looks a little bit weird in slow motion, but this is, of course, something where you queue it up. You queue up the burrow and then the attack. But yeah, Splendor barely dodged out on that. But you can already tell that in the backline, Kirsten and Nick were so low, they couldn't really participate there. It nearly turned as Bad Benny gets the 2-man Mosh and then the 4-man Turbas. That was nearly a turning point. And that they couldn't kill the Haka here, that was also something where I was like, oh, that might come back to bite you. But yeah, right now, Phoenix, look at Phoenix, he's moving all the way. He has to actually warp in because he just can't close the distance and tries to get some damage in somehow. And he uses his warp very aggressively, but they cannot secure the kill against Maiev. They cannot get anyone else. Then the Haka finally falls, and you already have catapults 26, 27 minutes into the game on the core. And I think at some point there were 5 catapults already firing at the core and another 2 or 3 pushing through the bot lane that hadn't reached the core yet. And that's exactly the point. I mean, we talked very, very earlier about how the 3 keeps really mean all you have to do is play safe right now, and then it goes on for another 5 minutes. But that's just simply because of the spawn time of every single wave and where you have to wait that out. You have to be patient in these situations. And eventually, I mean, time is working in your favor. If that game lasts another, let's say, 10 minutes, for example, those catapults hit even harder.
You need 1 or 2 to slip by.
Exactly. So it's just, you just have to play patient. Don't give your opponent like a late game boss or anything, but just poke with Junkrat, make sure that you don't engage into something when you don't really have to. Let them make the move. The pressure's on them, not on you.
Well, let's go to game number 2. Game number 1 was definitely much more exciting than I was expecting.